Buckle up, y'all. This is definitely one of the darkest Harry Potter theories I have ever come across. Look, I'm even wearing a black shirt for the occasion.
Out of fear, not loyalty.
Hey, brother! Okay, so in Goblet of Fire, the story kicks off with Harry having a dream about Frank Bryce, who creeps his way up to the old Riddle house and overhears Wormtail and Voldemort plotting the death of Harry. Frank is naturally terrified, but before he can exit the house, Nagini informs Voldemort that there's a Muggle man standing outside the door listening to everything they are saying. Now, naturally, this is pretty bad news for old Frank, who suddenly finds himself in a conversation face to back of the chair with Voldemort himself. But that right there is already the beginning of the question we are going to be asking today, because Voldemort would have no need for a chair at all, would he? Like, last we saw him, he was just that vapor mist cloud hunting down the Sorcerer's Stone back in Book 1 so that he could get a body. But if he doesn't have a body, then why does he need a chair to sit in? Is it simply ceremonial? No. Voldemort eventually does have Wormtail turn the chair around, and the sight of what is sitting in that chair that kills Frank is so horrible, it wakes Harry from his dream hundreds of miles away on Privet Drive. And Harry, in the moment, is of course more concerned about the burning sensation in his scar that last indicated that Voldemort was nearby, and is way too concerned with not writing a letter to Lupin to focus on what he did or didn't see in that chair. Which, fair enough, I suppose. I mean, it's hard to trust that the dream you just had was anything more than that, especially if the immediate concern is that the scar is hurting for the same reason it did last time, which was because Voldemort was nearby.
I think it's a warning. It means danger's coming.
And as such, Harry does not dwell too much on this particular fact. However, it is not the only time that year he is going to have a dream of this nature. Later, in the middle of a divination class, he's going to fall asleep again, and no doubt encouraged on by the clairvoyant vibrations of the room, has a similar vision where he again visits the Riddle house and witnesses a conversation between Voldemort and Wormtail, which ends in Wormtail getting tortured.
I've been here before. In a dream.
This time, Harry immediately gets up and heads to Dumbledore's office to relay the new information to him, and finally comes to a startling conclusion that we, the readers, have been wondering the whole book. No, just the back of his chair, but there wouldn't have been anything to see, would there? I mean, he hasn't got a body, has he? But then how could he have held the wand? How indeed, muttered Dumbledore. How indeed. And that how is just what we are going to be answering today.
Hey, brother!
Warning you now, guys, it's a dark one. Darker than we usually get here, which is to say, not very dark at all. I mean, what's dark about this? You see how we lighten the mood? It's fun. Voldemort gets it, right? But the real question is, how did Voldemort get into his rudimentary body before his official rebirthing body? Well, let's look at what we have to work with, which first is how Harry describes that baby from before Voldemort is lowered into the cauldron. The thing Wormtail had been carrying had the shape of a crouched human child, except that Harry had never seen anything less like a child. It was hairless and scaly looking, a dark, raw, reddish black. Its arms and legs were thin and feeble, and its face, no child alive ever had a face like that. Flat and snake-like, with gleaming red eyes. Ugh, gross. Honestly, reminds me of like the barbecue baby in King's Cross, which really isn't actually that far off, so that makes sense. And then after that, Wormtail lowers him into the cauldron and adds the final ingredients. Bone of the father, blood of the Harry, and hand of the rat. Which is just like a gentle reminder that Voldemort is like half man, half snake, and half rat. Like, you heard it here first. Or, as I like to say, 50% man, 50% snake, 50% rat, and 100% reason to never mention the name.
Voldemort.
What? Mic drop. Then the Death Eaters all arrive, and Voldemort almost just gives us the answer to how he regained corporeality outright. But, here's what he says. You tell me if you know exactly how it works. Poor wizard though he is, Wormtail was able to follow the instructions I gave him, which would return me to a rudimentary, weak body of my own. a body I would be able to inhabit while awaiting the essential ingredients for a true rebirth. A spell or two of my own invention, a little help from my dear Nagini, a potion concocted from unicorn blood, and the snake venom Nagini provided. I will soon return to an almost human form, and strong enough to travel. A potion? For what? You were nothing but mist and soul vapor. How are you going to drink it? And I'm sorry, but spells of his own invention? Because, like, wow. What a scapegoat line that we can't fact check. I mean, come on, dude. Some of us talk about this story for a living. Give us something. But yeah, we need to pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Raycon. Spring is in full swing in these parts, which means my favorite possible pairing. That's right, wait for it. Gardening and K-pop. I know. These two have just obliterated, like, what was it? Peanut butter and jelly? That's things that go together? Pfft. As if. No, but truly, I love this dedicated me time, and pulling weeds is made all the better by my Raycon everyday earbuds. Something that as a child felt like a punishment is now literally how I wind down from a long week. And with Raycon's noise cancellation, I can really just tune out everything else, even if the boys are, slinging trick shots from the deck to the basketball hoop down below. The best part about Raycon, though, is that they deliver the same premium audio quality as the big brands, but at half the price. Add in 30-day happiness guarantee, and there is zero reason to overpay. Personally, I rock the electric blue, but they also come in classic black, rose gold, cool mint, and blush violet. The Everyday Earbuds Classic are the perfect addition to your everyday routine, so go to buyraycon.com/SuperCarlin to get 15% off, and thanks Raycon for sponsoring this episode. But actually, he did give us a little bit to be going off of. The ingredients of the potion: unicorn blood and Nagini's venom, each of which have their own little oddities. Let's start with the unicorn blood. We're first introduced to it in book 1, when Harry finds Voldemort in the woods drinking the stuff, and we're told by friends that only one who has nothing to lose and everything to gain would commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you're an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips. Yeah, nothing to lose and everything to gain pretty much sums up Voldemort. But here's what you need to remember about that scene in the woods, is that Voldemort already can't die. His Horcruxes are already working. That's how he survives Godric's Hollow. So then the obvious question is, why does he need to be drinking unicorn blood? And the answer is to keep Quirrell, his vessel, alive. See, he tells the Death Eaters, "Only one power remained to me. I could possess the bodies of others. I sometimes inhabited animals, snakes of course being my preference, but I was little better off inside them than as pure spirit, and my possession of them shortened their lives. None of them lasted long." Right, so Voldemort can't die, but Quirrell can, and Voldemort cannot have that. At least not until Quirrell steals the stone for him. So he must make Quirrell drink the unicorn's blood to keep him alive. And then there's Nagini's venom, which seems like an odd and weirdly convenient ingredient to just have on hand, but not when you remember why Nagini's venom is unique to her. And it's because she's not a normal snake. She is not a normal steak, I'll tell you what. No one wants snake meat.
Snake sticks.
I got snake stick! Then there's Nagini's venom, which seems like an odd and weirdly convenient ingredient to just have on hand. But not when you remember why Nagini's venom is unique to her. And it's because she's not a normal snake. She's the end result of a maledictus. And here comes the rain.
Here comes the rain, little darling.
Nagini was formerly a woman who had a blood curse that eventually turned her permanently into a snake. A feat Voldemort seems to be able to reverse engineer with a spell or two of his own when he gets Nagini to pose as Bathilda Bagshot. But it gets better, because the other unique thing about these two ingredients is that they seem to be polar opposites of each other, like, morally. Nagini's venom is pure deadly, while unicorn blood itself is extremely pure. I mean, after all, it is the slaying of something so pure in the first place that makes drinking its blood so bad.
It is a terrible crime to slay a unicorn. Drinking the blood of a unicorn will keep you alive even if you are an inch from death, but at a terrible price.
But so in the potion then, what's coming together is pure good and pure evil, where the pure good is being put to the task of supporting life for the bad. Still with me? Good, because now we're going to put all that together and then like cross multiply and divide for X. So, Nagini's blood is to Mistform Voldemort, what unicorn blood is to... And I just tell you now, this is the part where it gets very dark, because what is like the purest, most innocent thing you can think of? A baby. And I hear you, you're like, wait, where would Voldemort get a baby? Did he have like a pregnant woman who was about to give birth? The Jorkins. No. Yes, Bertha Jorkins, who was on holiday in Albania, but never made it back because she was kidnapped by Wormtail and Voldemort and tortured for information about the Triwizard Cup. How does Voldemort put it?
The means I used to break the memory charm upon her were powerful, and when I extracted all useful information from her, her mind and body were both damaged beyond repair. She had now served her purpose. I could not possess her. I disposed of her.
See, now this is odd, because Bertha is described as a massive gossip and a bit of a ditz, and I just don't think it would really be that difficult to torture information out of her, you know? Like, the main issue Voldemort would be dealing with here is breaking the memory charm placed on her by Barty Crouch Sr., which, look, don't get me wrong, I don't doubt that would wreck her mind, but her body, too? Like, why? I suppose Voldemort could have just tortured her for fun, which sounds very on brand for him, but also very counterproductive when he actively is in need of a body to possess. No. Her body is destroyed because of what else he takes from her. Now, of course, it's never been confirmed that Bertha was pregnant for her holiday, but there is at least some circumstantial evidence. Like, for example, Bertha used to work for the Department of International Cooperation under Crouch before getting transferred to the Department of Magical Games and Sports under Ludo Bagman. These are the two main offices responsible for planning not only the Triwizard Tournament, but also the much bigger Quidditch World Cup. Arthur makes it sound like it's all hands on deck, and Bagman even says the reason he hasn't sent anyone to go looking for Bertha yet is because they don't have anyone to spare. And yet, he spared her.
Kill the spare!
What could Bertha be going through that allows for a weeks-long holiday in the middle of the busiest time of the year when she must be one of the only people who has worked for both relevant departments? Shouldn't she be like front and center? And yet she's off visiting a series of relatives, including her second cousin and then her aunt, which I know is bizarre trivia, but that is directly from the canon. Bagman says he doesn't think she's the type to elope, but is there a reason he'd even have that option on his mind? Well, and I'm just thinking out loud here, but maybe if she's single and pregnant and looking for like a last-minute husband or something, maybe. Because why on earth else could she have possibly been wooed by the likes of Peter Mouseman Pettigrew? Look, I know it is terrible, but the theory is that Voldemort possesses the unborn child, which is obviously a very unsuitable host, which is why he needs the unicorn blood half the potion, and the Nagini half is to help fuse man and snake, which Voldemort mostly is, and why the resulting creature is a scaly, flat-faced nightmare. I can feel you cringing from here. I know it sounds almost too evil even for Voldemort to attack a baby like this, but may I remind you that Voldemort attacking a baby is the catalyst for the entire story. And yes, it's extremely horrible, but it's because the entire thing is the birth of the Dark Lord, which, like, not for nothing, almost serves as like an anti-nativity scene. I mean, virgin birth, check, I guess, except this time there's not even a mother at all, and far from being like a divine thing, it is about as perverse as you can imagine. I mean, I guess at least his father is there, but he's dead, and he's only dead though because Voldemort killed him. True, there's also no wise men or their gifts of like gold and frankincense and myrrh, but the Death Eaters are there and they kiss his feet, worshipping Voldemort like the false god he believes himself to be. Although maybe there is gold there because Harry's there, and Harry is heavily associated with gold throughout the series. I mean, I don't know as much about like the frankincense and myrrh, but Voldemort does kill a guy named Frank and a girl named Myrtle.
10 points if you get it through her stomach. 50 points if it goes through her head.
I think this might just be the darkest Harry Potter theory we've ever done. Can we play something like lighter and then we'll go?
Well, I've said I'll go.
Yeah, a bunch of you probably said that like 10 minutes ago. I thought it was a good theory. Guys, thanks so much for watching today's video and making it all the way to the end. If you want even more dark Harry Potters from us, you can check out this video right here where we talk about how the Death Eaters feed the dead to the Thestrals at the Ministry of Magic. Yep, that happens. But until next time, remember, ducks go in cups.
Ducks go in cups.